Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 153 of the Citrix Session. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. I've got one guest with me today, Monica Grismer, which is going to make it great because Monica and I just get to talk. And I don't know, it's efficient when it's just two people. It's also really good when there's a whole bunch of people with their comments and thoughts. Monica, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, Andy. It's been a while. I want to say Happy New Year, but we're at the end of January, so it's
I
the we are still in the new year, I guess, but it's been a whirlwind thus far.
So I know there's the concept of dry January. I'm starting to call it get nothing done January because we have all these meetings and then I go on vacation and I'm just overwhelmed. And I guess what, 2 days from now to be February,
Right.
or maybe one day from now to be February. It's coming up. I know that much.
It is. It is. But still grateful to be here. We're still cranking out a lot of things on the Citrix side, so have tons to talk about.
Well, and that's when you brought, okay, so today is January 29th, 2024. We're going to review a blog from December 21st, 2023. And that blog's name is What's New with Citrix CVAD 2311 and Cloud Updates. I had to go back and look because I felt like we just did this, but it was actually 2308.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that, I'm like, man, you guys just keep coming out with new stuff. And I think that's part of the commitment Citrix and Cloud Software Group has made to, take the technology and continue to move it forward and make that be the focus of the company. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And you'll see the evolution over time. That's why I like doing these blogs quarterly, my colleagues doing these blogs quarterly, and coming on this podcast regularly, because you'll see it piece by piece, just continuing to evolve these bigger features and functionalities that we've probably talked about over the course of the past few years now, where even when we release a new feature, a new capability, we're still adding more on top of it. And if any of the admins, any of you listeners join at any point in this, I'm sure you will hear something that you've never heard of before, or that some functionality that you did not know we accomplished for you.
And you might not even know you needed it. And then all of a sudden you'll hear about
Yep.
it. Oh, yeah, we need that. We've needed that forever.
And the vast majority of the time, you probably already have it entitled in your deployments.
Right.
So it's just about using it.
Well, and that gives me the opportunity to do the XenTegra commercial. We do these podcasts. We do what we do in the industry and community because we know there's opportunity to provide help out there beyond what you've been getting. And if you're listening to this and you want to message me on LinkedIn or something, or message me on LinkedIn is probably the best way. We want to help you, and we proactively do these things like the podcast because we know there's so much out there that could be done. And most customers, and I struggle with it all the time, they don't know what they don't know. And hopefully these podcasts and webinars that we do kind of provoke them into thinking beyond what they don't know.
Absolutely.
So Monica, can you help me with this like intro paragraph here where you're kind of talking about some the overall general idea of what you guys are bringing forward?
For sure. And I definitely have to give my friend and colleague her flowers. Emma Bland is the author of this blog. She is also a senior product marketing manager on the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops side. Super, super sharp. She comes from the consulting arm of the organization. So I love her writing. It really comes with a consultant's perspective as well. So keep an eye out on the blogs on things from her because she's got a great thing going here. But yes, down to the nitty-gritty of this blog, really wanting to set the stage with what we were saying before. We have a ton of innovations quarter after quarter. And in November, we released 2311, the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops on premises release. But as we know, in cloud, we're also evolving more and more as well. We focus our innovation through four major categories, and these are evolving into 2024. But at the time of this writing, we're really looking at the buckets of operational and IT efficiency, making your teams more efficient, streamlining your management. The second one is workload and device flexibility. So, where you want to host your connections mixed with what devices you want to deliver them on. We're also delivering security and compliance functionality as the third category, and then employee experience technology as well.
Yeah.
So tons of great stuff.
And I love the way you guys look at that in those four buckets because those are the buckets that everybody kind of needs to understand the EUC space in and then dive into them and learn what specifically you're releasing. So let's start with operational efficiency. First one here is PVS switching to MCS provisioning. What is that?
Yeah, so for this capability, we set the stage of PVS used to use its own separate wizard for creating VMs for both on-prem and cloud environments. But to streamline this process, we're now introducing a feature that enables customers to use Studio for PVS VM creation. So it helps really bridge that functionality and gaps between PVS and MCS. And by using this MCS capability, customers can now access features that were previously exclusive to on-prem hypervisors and public clouds. So this includes support for Azure AD, hybrid Azure AD, Intune, on-demand provisioning, and more. So as you know, some of our admins are big on PVS, some are big on MCS. So just continuing to bridge those gaps. I think that's also the theme of bridging the gaps from on-prem and cloud over the course of 2023 and into 2024.
Right. Are you still running into a lot of folks out there that are diehard provisioning services
Oh,
fans?
yes, I would say so.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean for good reason, right? It's been around for years. It's an incredible technology and you can still continue to use it. We're just trying to make it easier.
Yeah. I think for me, it's always a matter of PVS. Once you know it and learn it and understand the network ramifications of it, the image management of it is so granular if you want it to be, that it makes sense for a lot of people that, once they've invested that time in understanding the technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah. VDA, so virtual, make sure I get it right. Virtual delivery agent. That used to be called virtual desktop agent, virtual
Yeah.
delivery agent, upgrade service.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the VDA upgrade service, this was actually rolled out earlier in 2023, and it helps keep your VDAs up to date with the latest features, functionality, and fixes. So you can really, as an admin, improve your operational efficiency, simplify your processes by shifting from those manual VDA updates to now having it automated. So we are enhancing this capability by adding proxy support, local file share support, and upgrade failsafe capabilities. So you may be familiar with this when we introduced it earlier this year, but we're continuing to update. I will also give a plug as well, since you're listening here today and not viewing the blog, we have a Citrix Features Explain video for basically every single one of these features, which are on our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And those are great resources to understand A, what these do, what these functionalities do, but B, where to find these capabilities inside of your console. So I'm just out here giving shameless plugs today, Andy. I hope that's okay.
No, it's actually perfect. Telling the group that the listeners that Emma was the one that wrote the article, but it all together was perfect. I'm glad you did that. And then also pulling out the fact that there's videos, really detailed videos on the Citrix YouTube channel that goes over all these updates. Pictures worth a million words.
Agreed. And a video is worth what, 1 billion? I don't know.
Well, as I said, pictures worth a
I
thousand
don't know
words.
the saying.
Pictures worth 1,000, a video is worth a million. That's probably
There
good.
we go. Okay.
All right, next one on here. Well, let's go back to the
Sure.
EA upgrade service real quick. So, are you seeing people use that to update their master image, their persistent images? Is that those are the two use cases where it makes the most sense?
I think so for both of those. It's just about streamlining your VDAs overall. So I think it could be either one.
Mhm.
And we're continuing to roll out capabilities. But yeah, definitely the master image for sure.
Yeah. And I noticed something here called the air gapped environments to direct their VDAs to local file shares, I guess more secure.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're bridging on-premises and cloud environments, there can definitely be gaps, but you want to make sure, if you're using your local file shares or things that are specific to your environments, you want to make sure there are as few gaps as possible.
Mhm. Okay. Next one is around monitoring improvements.
Yeah. So, if you've been a Citrix admin for a long time, I'm sure you are familiar with Monitor. Um, this used to be Director, or it might still be on premises.
Mhm.
So we want to make it even easier for you to troubleshoot issues within your consoles. So Monitor, we are continuing to double down on the functionality. This has been huge for help desks at the basic level, or if you know Director, right? Same thing. And we continue to roll out functionality. So we rolled out a new logon breakdown UI, which comprehensively breaks down the individual services and stages. And then this empowers you as admins to gain a deeper understanding of possible causes when difficulties arise or when issues happen within user environments. And then also we've added session performance metrics for those user environments, such as ICA RTT, latency, consumed bandwidth. And then we're bringing these endpoint network statistics also to Linux workspace app users. So that's huge for individuals using thin clients. So I think with the emergence of Citrix Analytics, some folks had some confusion. They're like, okay, are you doing away with your director and monitoring capabilities? And the answer is no. So director and monitor, we really see as the baseline. What is happening with your environment? How to troubleshoot it? Are there issues? And as we know, we can expand on finding all of the data out and tons of data there. But our analytics capabilities are really about optimizing and securing your environments. So they all fall in this umbrella of, how you observe your Citrix environments, how you're troubleshooting, how you're optimizing. So I think this is a great point to say we are still committed to adding functionality to monitor and director, and the proof is right here.
I struggle whenever we go through something like this because this makes me want to just, quit everything else I'm doing and go back and be an admin where I have all these tools and things I didn't have. I was dealing with Edge site back in the day, just trying to keep that thing up, much less getting the data I need out of it. Technical
Yes.
data was probably in there, a big chunk of it, because that thing was a beast.
Yep.
But making it work and keeping it working whenever you needed it was always a struggle. This is so much nicer.
Yes, it really is. And, sorry, not sorry to give you FOMO, Andy. I mean, I think that's what we're here to do,
Well, I don't
right?
know if you can
So,
see the background. If you last time we did a podcast, I had my own rack back there. I had my own Citrix environment. I had the VMware environment, all this stuff going on. I came back from vacation, it was gone. My guys took it away from me, and I had this moment of oh no, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine with it. No more rack in my
so,
office.
so you don't have to, okay. It doesn't have to be staring at you all day.
Oh, I just don't have it anymore. I just don't have time. I just can't keep it up. I can't, if I'm going to do it, I'd come in here in the middle of the night and play with technology, and that's not what I need to be doing these days.
Not
I love it.
sustainable.
Yeah,
Sleep is important as well. But
you would
uh,
think.
yeah.
Next one is tech preview auto scale updates.
hmm So this is really an amalgamation of everything that we have brought to our auto scale functionality in the past month or two. So auto scale is used for schedule-based scaling, load-based scaling of your environments. So we brought that to on-premises in 2308. I know on one of the last podcasts, we talked about this at length. And a lot of the updates were focused on persistent machines, which drive a lot of expense in public clouds. So powering those down. And so like shutting them down if not in use, end user hibernation, and Azure as a tech preview, and the reclamation service. So those have all been added to target persistent machines to really help save on cloud costs. And then we also have vertical load balancing on the delivery group level. Overall, the point of all of these features is every single day, and Andy, I'm sure you hear this too, we've got to be so mindful of the costs of our customers and the IT budgets that they have and the world in which we're living. And we really take that seriously and are working to optimize costs inside of our products. So, Andy, I'm assuming, is that a big conversation you're having right now? Or I think it's always a conversation.
It's always a conversation. If it's not, you need to bring it up and make it a conversation. I ran into a client, I don't know, 2 years ago now, that was spending 300,000 a month in Azure consumption for desktops, and
hmm
we're super proud of the technology and what they architected, which they should have been. They just were blowing money. I mean, Monica, is your kitchen sink running right now? You
No,
better
it's
make it
not.
running. Hey,
Exactly.
and you got to teach. You got to teach. I don't mean to make trivialize this, but you got to teach people that that's important, especially when you start talking cloud. IaaS solutions. But it's
hmm
also important, in your own data center.
Absolutely. And obviously to stick with that, I mean, I love that you use the kitchen sink example because it's funny, we're actually hearing a lot of conversations around cost, but then additionally we're talking about sustainability, right? So that's the same thing with your kitchen sink. You're like, you wouldn't leave your kitchen sink running and waste all of that water. So why are we wasting power? You can save on cost and be kinder to the environment by shutting down these machines that aren't in use.
Yeah. It's funny as we're having this conversation, I glanced on my other screen. I got a LinkedIn post where somebody's talking about, as your personal desktop and the same thing with auto scaling. I didn't expect that, but it matters. I guess what I'm really trying to say.
Yes. Well, and your computer's listening to you, so thanks for freaking me out this morning. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Next one is site management improvement.
Yeah, so in addition to cost savings, we're really looking for ways to make the product more streamlined for our users as well and our admins. So we're bringing improvements to Web Studio Backup to make it even easier to back up and restore your configurations. So that's both for on-premises and cloud Web Studio. So you as admins will be able to easily schedule and restore backups on demand. And we also introduce centralized site management to assign additional sites to a primary site. So this means that your end users will be able to log into one Citrix workspace URL and access all of their resources regardless of the site. And then admins will be able to easily switch between sites on their organization. So this is really about, I talked about director slash monitor, and now this is studio, right? This is the management, this is Web Studio. We've also talked about the fact that we brought the Web Studio UI to on-premises too. So this is for all of our admins, continuous improvement.
Hmm. Can you just take a minute and explain when you say site, you're talking about the actual the Citrix Cloud site? Are we talking about sites as in the different sites for the organization?
Different sites for the organization. Yes, great clarification.
Sure.
So, especially in the enterprise environments and when we work with most commonly, they have multiple sites, maybe for multiple geographies, maybe you've even set up multiple deployments for your different parts of your organization. So it's as an admin being able to manage those much more seamlessly. And then as a user, if you're logging in, it doesn't matter if I'm traveling and I'm maybe geographically logging into a different site than I would be originally.
Mhm.
It shouldn't affect my experience at all.
Yeah. Next one here is workload and device flexibility. Let's see, are we transitioning topics here?
We are.
Okay.
They're very similar, right? Operational and IT efficiency and workload and device flexibility. So it's just kind of how we slice up. But yeah, to round out the operational and IT efficiency, what all of those capabilities have in common is we want to make the IT admins' lives easier.
Right.
I know we're doing more with less. I know we're doing more with less people, less budget. I think all of us feel the crunch right now. And we want our technologies to enable you to do your best work no matter your resources. So
Well,
that's what we really pride ourselves on.
you're really touching on the conundrum of this whole space around end user compute. It's making it more secure, making the admin's life easier, and making the end user's life better all at the same time. And that's where Citrix has its background and continues
Hmm.
to lead the way by far. I mean, it's not even close, but by far.
I agree.
Okay, workload and device flexibility. First topic here is tech preview around multi-IDP support.
Hmm. So this section is really about choice. So multi-IDP support inside the Citrix Cloud Console allows you to have multiple identity providers of the same type within one cloud tenant. So exceptions to multi-IDP are Citrix Identity, Active Directory, and Active Directory plus token. But it's important to note that currently you can still point one IDP at a time in the workspace configuration. Alongside this capability, we're also introducing the ability to clone SAML IDPs. So you have the ability to clone a SAML IDP, give it a nickname, and edit the configurations to create an additional SAML IDP.
Okay.
So, long story short, we know there are a ton of identity providers that organizations leverage, especially at the enterprise level. You've maybe had a merger and acquisition, and there's just a ton of different providers. So, you can have multiple IDPs of the same type within one cloud tenant.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to take a screen clip of this and send it to a customer who's, I think this is a topic they've been, interested in for a while with you guys.
Yeah, and a lot of these obviously come directly from our customers, right? Come directly from our enterprise customers and our requests for engineering, specific needs and use cases. We're really doubling down on thoroughly understanding what you need and where your pain points are and solving those. So I think that just shows, I love that you just took a screenshot and are going to show it, send it to a customer because we're just here to solve your problems and make your lives easier.
Well, and I think that's something to highlight, which shouldn't go unnoted. Citrix really is doing a good job of listening to customers, and those use cases that would be showstoppers with some products continue to evolve in the Citrix world.
Agreed.
All right, next one is a tech preview for Linux Secure VDA.
Yeah, so this is really exciting for our Linux VDA users. We now have a secure HDX VDA specific to Linux. So we've got an enhanced security framework without the need for deploying certificates to the VDA. And so that process previously complicated the setup and administration. So we're seeing we're continuing to put more effort and bandwidth into the Linux VDA. It's huge for our developer use cases. Also, just Linux VDAs in general give you more flexibility and help you dodge Windows licensing. I think we've said that before. If you're looking to have a truly kind of just blank environment to do with what you need, Linux VDAs are great ways to go. And then with this new enhancement too, users can experience true end-to-end encryption. So not only do you get the figure configuration flexibility, but you get seamless security between Citrix Workspace app and the VDA. So just continuing to evolve here.
Are you in your interactions with customers, are you seeing a lot more Linux adoption on the endpoint?
I would say I think it's pretty steady. I think the folks that use Linux really double down on it. So I think it is a task of ours to explore with admins and let them know more what the Linux VDA can do. So I wouldn't say huge spikes as of late, but the people that love it, love it.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable, right? You're going to see more and more of it as people try to move away from Windows on the endpoint or on the virtual desktop side, if they don't need it, if they're just, browser-based applications.
Yep.
Security and compliance. Okay, are we that's a new.
Yeah, I guess we had a short section for workload and device flexibility, but to round out that section, it's really about any device, any location, and hosting. I think a story we may have missed here in the length of the blog is we still are absolutely doubling down on the fact that you can host your workloads anywhere you want, on premises, in the cloud, any public cloud, any private cloud environment, maybe that you set up either on-prem or with a cloud provider. And having that mix is something that Citrix hangs our hat on and will continue to. So we are still absolutely there with you and want to meet you where you are. And that's something that I'll be kind and say very few EUC providers, if not none, no other ones are doing like we are.
Well, and even if they want to, they've got so much to do to get caught up that they're going maybe as fast as they can. They just, you guys have a big a big lead on folks in terms of having the background you do. Plus, now you have this revisiting the idea that you want to be the open guys to everyone and every platform out there, which just only accelerates where you've been and where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's try to knock out the whole thing if we can here. Security and
Okay.
compliance, session recording. What's new there?
Yeah, so within session recording, again, I think session recording sometimes is a bit of a misnomer because we are doing so much under the recording umbrella that doesn't even have to touch the session itself. And this point is we introduced audio recording. So we brought the power of session recording to in-session audio. This has been hugely asked for by organizations, and they need both recordings of the screen and the audio that's happening within a session.
Mm.
So even at the most basic level, think call centers, right? You need to be able to hear what the people are saying. And then it just really helps ensure compliance if it's not just troubleshooting on this thing happened on my screen, it's my audio skipped or messed up or what have you. So getting that in-session audio is huge. And we're continuing. So that's another piece. We also have event triggers, a ton within session recording that aren't just the screen recording. So if you haven't checked it out, I would definitely urge you to do so.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a picture worth 1,000 words, video worth 1,000,000 words. I mean, audio is somewhere in that mix, and who knows what happened if you can't understand what was said or what was communicated, audibly.
Hmm.
Next one here, device posture service updates.
Yeah, so for those of you who aren't familiar, the device posture service is used to classify devices as compliant or non-compliant within an environment. So that information is used as a condition to apply contextual access to DAS and SBA resources. So we announced global availability of the Microsoft Intune integration last quarter. And we are now introducing CrowdStrike Falcon as another third-party integration.
Hmm.
So this is really essential for our roadmap and feedback from the field. And we now have a Citrix Workspace app version check for iOS, device certification check on macOS and Windows, and network and geolocation check on iGel OS. So device posture is really about, again, seeing where a device is, and then if it is trusted or untrusted, maybe I'm in the office, maybe I'm out of the office, and it gives me different security parameters based on where I am, how I'm logging in, what my current situation is. So this is huge, and this is a huge part of secure private access. So not only can you manage your virtual apps and desktops, but you can also manage those published web and SaaS apps.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm in the office and I'm logging into Salesforce. It knows I'm there. I'm working with my sales folks. Maybe it doesn't give me a watermark because it knows I'm on the corporate network. But if I'm logging in, I'm on the road, maybe it'll give me a watermark, limit copy paste because I'm physically outside of a trusted environment. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we were just talking about this internally, specifically around Salesforce and making that a SaaS-based app delivered through Citrix Workspace. I'll have to
Yeah, I must have been listening to you.
must have. Well, you are. You're
I'm
Citrix.
everywhere.
You're Citrix listening to what users need. Let's see.
Exactly.
Next one looks like Citrix endpoint management improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. So Citrix Endpoint Management is absolutely still a part of the Citrix stack, and we have day zero support for Android 14, iOS 17. The Citrix launcher for Android is designed for those specific devices. We now have dark mode, Domino 12 support. So overall, we also announced support for endpoint management with NetScaler, advanced authentication policies, and much more. So just showcasing that, Citrix endpoint management is still alive and well. It definitely has continued to be a part of the Citrix stack and has been big for some of our largest customers. And if I had a crystal ball, I would say that you'll be hearing even more about Citrix endpoint management later this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as the whole market unfolds and what's happening in the industry. This might end up being a really good spot for Citrix to be in.
Hmm.
Okay, let's talk about something that is a quite common conversation these days, and that is enterprise browser capabilities. What are you guys doing here?
Yeah, so we firstly want to wish a happy birthday to Enterprise Browser. It's been about a year, which is crazy since we officially launched this capability. Internally, I know we've talked about it for a long time, but the Enterprise Browser is a Chromium-based browser built for your enterprise. And I think as we go along with this, a ton of folks aren't even aware that we do this
Mhm.
and how strong this capability is and how pressing it could be for the security of your environment. So we're talking here how we've added custom extensions, we've decoupled the enterprise browser update process from the Citrix Workspace app, and we've just added a ton of capabilities over the past year. Having an enterprise browser might sound super basic, but if you think about it inside of your enterprise, okay, I have these locked down virtual apps and desktops, these locked down web and SaaS apps, but then my users might just, access the web from a browser on their endpoint.
Yeah.
How does that correlate, right? Like, how does just kind of giving them free reign to the whole of the internet while their Windows, Linux apps, and desktops are securely locked down? We didn't see how that correlated, so the need for an enterprise browser arose. Bringing the same Chrome experience, you can have bookmarks, tabs, just like a regular Chrome browser, but you can also limit copy paste, add a watermark, add app protection, add all of those security parameters and have control over the browser itself. So this has been really huge, and I know other companies are hanging their hats on just doing this, and we've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah. I've got a competitor in the space. He's building his entire business around enterprise browser. That's pretty much what he sells.
Yep.
So I mean, it's way overdue having the ability to control the browser, which, is probably the biggest attack vector there is.
Mm-hmm. And you're seeing that in conversations as well.
Some, but if you bring it up to somebody, it makes perfect sense. And,
Yep.
I don't know why we've spent the last 30 years on a consumer browser that was totally unmanaged and expecting not us to not be attacked the way we have been.
Right. I think it's a classic example of how you started of people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll get a big old flag or maybe a shirt or a tattoo or something that's like, we do the enterprise browser and it
Yeah.
rocks.
They do it very well.
Yep.
Okay. SPA, Secure Private Access Service Enhancements.
Yep. So we continue to add to our secure private access functionalities. This again has to do with securing your web and SaaS applications. So we have added, um, one second, I'm trying to see here. Like, what did we add this quarter? It's a good question.
I-
This
I'm
is
I'm shocked
go
you do
ahead.
as much as you do without having to refresh stuff as we go through these.
Yeah, I'm like, darn it. I caught myself up on this one. So looking at the Citrix Cloud Licensing dashboard, all active SPA users accessing client server-based or web and SaaS apps are now included in licensing counts. So we're adding more functionality and information around licensing inside of the console, and then allowing or denying access based on, I think, customer criteria.
Mhm.
So yes, I'm not as familiar with this one, but I know we continue to add to cloud and on-prem.
Well, I know I'm calling out the one here about the DNS spoofing. I mean, that there's companies out there that's big chunk of what they do is to provide secure DNS control so that you're not hijacking people's DNS host
Yes.
records or DNS servers.
Yes. No, for sure. And then we're talking about secure private access on premises as well. So in case you missed it, we introduced secure private access on premises earlier in 2023. And I think in tech preview, but now we have the global availability of SPA on-prem in version 23.11 as a plugin. So this is a huge milestone in management, dynamic policy evaluation, and authorization. So the SPA plugin is now a part of and can be installed along with the Citrix delivery controller or by using a standalone installer.
Mhm.
This is a huge evolution and a huge milestone to be able to bring this capability on-prem. I think I said from the jump, we are, well, I actually didn't mention this. In early 2023, we had the Destination Hybrid Initiative, which was about meeting customers where they are on their hybrid journeys. And over the course of this year, I could say the proof is really in the pudding of how much we have come out with on premises.
Yeah.
Andy, would you agree on that fact?
Well, just the SPA, doing SPA on premises and managed on premises is huge.
Yep.
Uh,
I mean, we did that. We did auto scale. I think I'm gonna, get ahead of myself here, but we changed the UI on premises to look more like the look and feel of the streamlined Citrix UI that you get in the cloud. So tons happening on prem.
And I guess that's a factor of, what you're doing in the cloud can be replicated on premises, as well as the fact that like we've pointed out here several times, you have customers that just need this functionality. They want this functionality, but they can't be all in on the cloud.
Yep.
Okay, now we transition to employee experience, which at the end of the day might be the most important, might be the least important. It depends on who you're talking to.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's important that you have happy users. At the same
Mm-hmm.
time, you got to have secure users and happy administrators. The first one you have listed here is tech preview of HDX Direct.
Yeah, so we continue to double down on our HDX technologies. So it really allows for organizations to connect directly through the gateway service, I believe. And you've got up the picture here.
Yep.
So internally, you can go directly through the gateway service, and then external clients go through more firewalls, I believe, is what this is showcasing.
I'm trying to understand. So internal clients are making communicating with the backend, but then connecting through, their HDX, their ICA connections. We'll call it HDX. I'll go with that. Actually to their virtual delivery agent. And then on the other one side, it's got external clients. It's got something at the top called a stun, STUN, then the gateway service, and then the direct connection to their VDA
Hmm.
through firewalls. I don't know what the stun is. You know what that means?
I am not super familiar.
Secure stun. I'll have to look. It says
Yeah.
send stun requests for public IP and then off to the gateway service. We're going to look up what stun is here.
Hmm. It might say in the blog.
Oh, that's true. We should go there. Storefront. I don't know if it does.
I don't think it does. Hmm. That's a mystery. I might have to follow up with you on that one.
No, we're going to Google it. Let's,
Okay.
while you talk about the next thing, tech preview, new storefront. You,
Yeah, which I actually just talked about. So I can follow up while you do some Googling for us.
okay.
So the new storefront UI, as you all know, the current on-premises storefront UI is, depending on your version, probably purple or green boxes, mostly purple headers. And with all of this evolution of Citrix on-premises, bringing more capabilities to on-premises, we wanted the UI to have the same look and feel as well. So what you know is a Citrix UI in the cloud, much cleaner, white boxes, more capabilities. We're bringing that to on-premises. And then additionally, with SPA on-premises, it should look and feel just like the cloud because you can add your web and SaaS apps in there as well. So that's really what we're speaking to. It's actually in tech preview right now. So we actually added the Citrix Workspace UI that's cloud-based, and we added things like Activity Manager and more functionality inside
Mhm.
that will be making its way to on-prem too.
Okay.
So just having the same look and feel across the board, no matter where your users are accessing from.
Right. That consistent look and feel and capabilities.
Yep, exactly.
It's more
Did you?
commitment to meeting people where they are. Yeah, STUN, that stands for Session Traversal Utilities for NAT. Stun server helps devices behind NAT devices, helps devices behind NAT devices communicate with others across the internet by discovering their public IP address and opening communication channels. So,
Interesting.
so it sounds like it's just a more secure way to front end your environment. But then you still hand it once it's established who you're talking to, then you hand off to the gateway service.
That makes sense. Yep. And that would happen when clients are external specifically.
Well, actually, I'm looking at this backwards. It's actually the gateway service you talk to that then has you talk to these other devices behind the stun to make them more secure, and then ultimately the connection to the VDA through the direct connect would be directly from the endpoint to the backend.
Got it.
So it adds like a masking layer to some of the backend components.
Yes. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, going back to the blog here. Storefront. Vanity workspace URL.
Yep, I think we may have talked about this last time, but to remind everyone, previously all workspace users had to leverage cloud.com URLs. So we got feedback from our customers that they wanted more flexibility to use their own domain URLs, and we totally understand that, especially for large enterprises, because it makes a unique domain name obviously makes it easier for users to remember and can also match the company's branding and messaging, brand identity.
Sure.
So with this, we have added the custom domain feature, and that's now available. We have a blog and migration blog specific to this. So it can be, you know, mywork.acme.com or what have you, just to make it easier for customer or for your employees to remember for sure.
I love this. I was literally just looking this up. So here's my workspace, right? So it's basically a little bit of branding. We've got the XenTegra website, which after many, many years of me bringing this up, we finally have employee login down here somewhere. It takes you to our workspace.
Nice.
And then now we'll be able to have it just, workspace.zentegra.com, and we can make it look like, well, we can make it look like what it looks like now, but we can use our own
Hmm.
URL to get there.
Exactly. And a lot of times too, think about I mean, when you're XenTegra employees, to any of our listeners, when your employees are on the road and need to access their stuff securely, I remember it was like go dot there's one, I mean, it might still work, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but it's like citrix.com, but it was like mywork.citrix. So it was just easy to remember, right? It kind of rolled off. But if they're like, wait, what was that cloud.com URL? And
Yeah.
you're kind of screwed if you don't have a workspace app on whatever device you're using.
Yeah. That's why I like using the website. Like, you just go to my website, hit employee login, and boom, there you go.
You're just ahead of the curve though.
I actually stole that from Citrix because Citrix had that back in the 90s and 2000s where it was on their website. Nobody in the company even knew it, but it just took you straight to the login for Citrix, which I thought was awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah. All right. Next one is multi tech preview for multi workspace URL.
Yep. So we wanted to make sure that employee access is as easy as possible. That's kind of how we went with the custom URL. And we are happy to announce that the public tech preview of multi-workspace URL is here. So what this means is companies can now use up to 10 different URLs and leverage different branding, authentication methods, and resource filtering across each URL. So if you have, I mean, different brands within your umbrella or different, for example, I mean, we work for Cloud Software Group and we have a number of brands inside of our umbrella of companies.
Okay.
So we could have a different URL for each business unit and then have different branding for each one as well. And maybe there's different departments, different user access. So that's pretty cool that you can manage branding and URLs across the environment.
Okay. So this goes along with the idea you have your custom URL, but now you can have multiple brands. You could edit the URL to be, brand A, brand B, brand C at company.com.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. And in this one, they're actually using Cloud Burrito. Is that something Citrix set up?
That's our staging environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Monica, I think we're to the end, I think. Let's see. Let me go back.
There might be one more. I think it was MSIX, which
Okay. Yeah, I did see
I'm
something.
not
Right.
sure.
Yeah, so long. I got to scroll down to the bottom here.
It is a long
Yeah.
one.
Tech preview, improved MSIX staging.
Yep. So MSIX is a Windows app package format that provides modern packaging experience to Windows apps. So MSIX usually had admins want their MSIX apps available to end users on the desktop to have a similar experience as native apps. So MSIX packages are preloaded now on Citrix virtual desktops. And when the user logs in, they're published directly on the desktop. So just doing more with these app packages and the capabilities to make it more automatic for the admins and users.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't need to know it's not installed. They just need it to be there.
They need it to work. Exactly.
Need to work. Well, Monica, the last section talks about try it today. All this stuff is available. When can people actually start doing this?
Yeah. So as usual for the on-premises, you can check out Citrix downloads to download these components today. And the cloud, they should roll out incrementally. They should be to you by now. Some are in tech preview, some are GA, but you can check the status and the information on the product documentation. We also readily update updates.cloud.com to showcase what's on our roadmap, what's rolling out, where the features are in their releasing stages, or if they've fully released. So I know it is a ton to consume, but I hope at least one of these things kind of triggered a thought in you on how you can make your environments better, how you can streamline your operations, because that's what we're here doing and cranking out every day.
No, it certainly is. And there's nobody out there that's up to date. And again, going back to the XenTegra commercial, we don't know it all. However, we do have people in these environments every day seeing the new stuff, seeing it work, seeing it be successful. Love to work with customers about that. And just, again, can't say enough about what you guys are doing to invest in the core product and continue to drive the industry leadership in that.
Agreed.
No.
Well, it's always a pleasure being on and chatting about what we've got going. There's no end to conversations to be had.
Yeah, you certainly enjoy it. You really do. And I appreciate
Yeah.
that as well. Monica, I'm going to let you go and then go enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'm going to try to go get mine started. It's been nonstop all day, but that's the life I chose, and it's fun. I love it.
Fair enough. No, it was great to be on. Thank you, Andy. Have a great rest of your Monday.
All right. Talk to you next time.